Thanks. With the permission of the chair, Professor Joshi ji, the topic of my paper is India Uzbekistan cultural relations, history, heritage, and uh, in fact, the region currently known as Central Asia and parts of Afghanistan and uh, north eastern Iran. This was traditionally known as Khorasan-e-Buzurg. And Khorasan-e-Buzurg and the relation between Khorasan-e-Buzurg and India has been since many thousand years. The relation comprises uh, the cultural relation, the business relation, the traders from the northwestern frontiers of India used to visit frequently in that part of the Khorasan-e-Buzurg, particularly the area today is called as Uzbekistan, Bukhara, and Samarkand. Both the countries share common heritage and soft power. Silk Route also passes through the same region. The term Silk Route, which was first used by the Ferdinand Richthofen, who had termed the Trans-Asian Overland Network as the Silk Route or the Silk Road in the late 19th century, which includes various areas including the Indian subcontinent, Iran, and up to Anatolia. And I would like to highlight a few connecting points and share how India and Uzbekistan are connected through many aspects of culture and literature. And for instance, in the ancient period, Buddhism became popular in Central Asia. The town today known as Bukhara is derived from Vihara because it had become the center of Buddhist monks, and they had replaced old traditions of the faith in that region, that for example like Mithraism and Zoroastrianism. And this center, and from there they propagated Buddhism into eastern part of the Asia and Eastern Asia. Later influence could be traced in the movements like Manism and Mazdikism in Persia. Uh, Many of the historians believe that the movement like Manism and Mazdikism was influenced by both Jainism and Buddhism. It is interesting to note that the great uh, that there has been deep and engaging linguistic and literary interactions throughout the history between these two regions, which could be traced in Indo-Aryan languages and the translation of Panchtantra also. The known Uzbeki Chagtai words in Indian languages, thousands of the manuscript on the subject, and the topic of the common cultural and literary heritage, especially to mention the people like Amir Khusro, Babur, Amir Sher Ali Nawai, Mirza Kameran, Abdur Rahim Khane Khana, Mirza Bedil, Mirza Ghalib, and many of the people, poets, writers in the Oriental libraries of the both countries, and the translation of the books and poetry. The legends of Mahmud Pahlwan of Khiwa in the Kharazm region and Qabristan Hindi of Bukhara, Indian traders, especially from Gujarat and Rajasthan, in the bazaars of Samarkand and Bukhara. Taj Mahal, they also consider, these all are the heritage the two countries share. Then there are many personalities who have played a vital role in connecting the two civilizations, and rather they have many shared traditions. Like among them is Abu Rayhan al-Biruni. Birun is near Kharazm or Ganj in Uzbekistan. And incidentally, this year happens to be the 1050th years of the birth of Al-Biruni. And almost 1004 4 years before he visited India, almost a decade, particularly in the North India and Kashmir, and the kind of detail and vivid narration he has given about India will always be a primary source of that period. Al-Biruni instinctively acquired an analytical mind and was irresistibly enticed to the disciplines of knowledge which suited to his disposition and areas of academic and research interest. It is also interesting to note that before coming to the Indian heartland, he learned Sanskrit in Ghazni. And it also shows that there were how vibrant relation was between the heartland India and the Khorasan-e-Buzurg. So he came here and visited, and his book Tahqiq-e-Mal-al-Hind is like an encyclopedia of that period. Ulugh Beg is from the Taimurid family, but his contribution in the field of astronomy, and he had studied Indian astronomy. Later, he also influenced Indian scholars in the field of astronomy. Particularly, I personally have seen the library of Jaipur family and the kind of collection he has in his family. I was invited by Diya Singh, and he has also written a book on astronomy called as Jeech Muhammad Shahi. And the Jantar Mantar in Jaipur and in Delhi was certainly having the influence of Ulugh Beg also. Rumi's poetry. Rumi also comes from the same region, Khorasan-e-Buzurg. Though he was from Balkh, it is currently in Afghanistan. And Naqshbandiya order of Sufis are coming from Samarkand region, Bukhara. Bukhara is the city of 7 Khajgan, and they were basically the first Khaja of this order was Abdul Khalik Guzdawane of Bukhara, and he was the person who propounded the idea of Wahdatul Wajud. That was later basically in a very large way was written by Ibn Arabi of Spain, but the beginning comes from Bukhara, and the last of these 7 Khajgan was Bahauddin Naqshbandi, who is considered as the founder of the Naqshbandiya tradition that became very popular in India, along with the Chishtiya order. And the main text which was popular among the Chishtiya Sufis in India was Maulana Rumi's Masnavi. And Maulana Rumi's teacher was from India, and his direct student was Bu Ali Shah Qalandar of Panipat, who studied with him for 2 years, and that kind of connect we can see into the Masnavi, and the largest number of commentaries on this Masnavi was written by Indians. I have come across 40 commentaries only in Persian. Beside that, we can find it in Hindi, in Urdu, in many of the languages, and in many of the tradition, religious traditions of even like Radha Swami. They are also the followers of Maulana Rumi's poetry. And Baqi Billah, who is buried in Delhi, was from the Naqshbandiya Silsila, and he was the founder in India. Amir Ali Sher Nawai, in 14th, 15th century, he was the prime minister of Taimurid rulers in Herat, that is in southwestern Afghanistan, and he was the student as well as the patron of Jami. And Jami was very closely connected with the Indian scholars like Jamali, and Jamali was connected with Guru Nanak Dev, and Mahmud Gawan and many others. So such kind of connections, I have written a whole paper on Amir Ali Sher Nawai and his contemporaries in India. Perso, Hindi, Urdu poets, like as I mentioned, Amir Khusro, Khane Khana, Bedil, Mirza Ghalib, their ancestors trace their places in Uzbekistan. There is a place in Samarkand also known as named after Mirza Ghalib. So I think we need to reconnect, revitalize, and revive this historical, cultural connect between the two countries. And there are a lot to, if we visit in this area, I have been there, I have stayed there, taught in Tashkent University, and visited almost whole Uzbekistan. And the kind of connect, historical, cultural connect we find there, it is amazing. And I think we should encourage our scholars as well as the common people to go and see it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.